Alrighty, hello and welcome YouTube family. Welcome to this tutorial where we are going to actually have a little bit of fun building a human circuit. If you've bought this and downloaded it, I would like to say thank you first of all. But let's go ahead and get into it. And before we actually get started, we're going to actually go over what exactly we are going to be needing in this tutorial with the in terms of supplies here. Now I have it up on this screen right here, which is over here. And number one, we'll start off with the Rockstar King, all right, which is the Arduino Nano, all right. And then now we have the 5-volt relay, all right. And then we have two capacitors. We have a both 50 volt. This is 1 microfarad, and this is 15 microfarad. We have 4 blue terminal blocks, all right. 4 blue terminal blocks. Those are going to be helpful. They're not really necessary, but they are definitely very helpful. We've got a 5-volt regulator, all right. Also, right here, this is the 5-volt regulator. It's the LM7805. This is actually a different version, but in a different package. It's a UA7805C, which is pretty much the same thing. It's a 5-volt regulator. We are going to actually primarily be working on the 12-volt diagram, which is this one here. The 5-volt diagram, I'm going to just actually show you what I did to splice in the 2 wires, but that's pretty easy. You could probably figure that out on your own, but we'll definitely primarily focus on the 12-volt power supply that supplies all the power. And also, I wanted to introduce you to a couple more of the family members of hardware. All right, so we got some resistors going on here. Okay, so we got a 1K resistor, 2 10K resistors, and 4 mega ohm resistor, the Mega Death. Anybody like that band? Anyway, so yeah, look at this guy. So this guy is blue, cool little blue color, this dark brown, and then 4 mega deaths, mega ohms. Actually, it's mega ohm. Let's mega ohm. All right, that looks like that, kind of like light brown, tan maybe. All right, and a couple other pieces of hardware. All right, so we've got we're going to introduce you to a couple little piece of aluminum piece, little L bracket. All right, so you can get this from Home Depot, Lowe's, Orchard, wherever. And this is going to actually be for the 5-volt regulator, as it's going to be attached onto it as kind of like a heat sink, okay? And you can also use like anything aluminum, like aluminum can, like a Pepsi can. Just chop it up and actually put a hole in it and use this as a heat sink. Okay, a couple other things, like a couple small little bolt, machine bolt and nut to actually go inside to link it up onto the L bracket. Yeah. All right, and a little tiny little screw and washer to actually bolt it down into the fun little piece of wood that we have here. Okay, our janky ranky piece of wood. Wow, what's that? Okay. All right, and let's go ahead and talk about this USB 2.0 cable that we actually had hanging around. Sorry about that, folks. I realized more than halfway through the build that you will actually need this USB cable. You can pick this up anywhere online, eBay, Amazon, if you don't have one laying around, but if you do have one laying around, even better. In this case, we are going to be using this for the power to the Arduino. And a couple pieces of wire. Okay, so we got 22 gauge stranded zip line, zip wire. It's black and red. You can get also on eBay or Amazon, but it's 22 gauge. That we're going to actually be soldering stuff together, like especially the power supply, and we're going to be connecting stuff onto the terminal blocks. Also, some Cat 5 cable from any computer wire. I just stripped it out. I actually use these as the touch sensors. You actually touch it, and yeah, you can get that for free. I'm sure you have that lying around. I did. We'll also need a 12-volt mag lock, which is actually not part of the tutorial series, but I just wanted to add it on to the supplies list so you had it on this video. This part of the video was also taken from the video tutorial series to let you know what kind of 12-volt power supply you'll need. Keep in mind this one is 12 volts, 2 amps, which is fine. And it's going to look like this. It's going to have an actual barrel jack, which you'll actually slice it off, and it actually goes into here, just like these two wires. You're going to have most likely on the 12 volts, you're going to have a red and black wire that's going to actually feed into here. Here's another example, 12 volts, 1 amp. This is one that I actually cut off, and I got a red black wire, okay, that's feeding into here, right there, okay. And but the one that is actually feeding into here, which is this wire, that's actually going out to here, that way. This is 12 volts, 0.6 amps, okay? It's not even a full amp, and it's still working. So those are your options. I just want to let you know. Let's do this again. Let's go ahead and talk about the tools that I think are a must, and the other ones that I think are optional. I think these three are must, and these two are optional, okay? Must tools, optional, that you'll actually see me using in the video. Of course, we're going to start with the solder, which it is a must. It's mandatory to be able to solder the wires together. This is the one that I use. I've used this one like crazy. I actually had a really fine tip on this, but I've used it so much that it actually burnt or broke off the tip, but it still does work. It gets good heat transfer. And here's the solder that I actually use. It's a RA300 3.3 flux. I think it's 4060 in terms of the material, but it's rosin core solder. This is a must. This little tiny kind of like eyeglass flathead. Okay, it came in a boxer set, like a bunch of like Phillips flatheads. It's hex tips. If you're going to use an actual smaller screwdriver, I would recommend a flathead versus a Phillips head, because a flathead is more versatile and can fit into a flathead and Phillips head. But this size is perfect, I think. And the size on this one here is actually 0.2.5. And it's going to fit into the terminal blocks, the blue terminal blocks, pretty well. So that's I think a must. This is also a must here. Wire strippers, of course, and if it has wire cutters on it, even better, which most of them do. This you'll see me using. It's just wire nippers. It cuts wires and small things very well. I just happen to use them because I love them, but if you actually have the wire stripper that has a cutter, you don't need these. I just happen to use these. Also, you're going to see me using these needle nose pliers with a bent tip. I actually love these, actually. You can get these from Home Depot. But these are also optional. You don't need them. I just happen to use them. If you're going to use them, you can even use the ones with a straight tip, or I just happen to like the curved tip. So again, this is optional. Okay, so I hope that helps you out. You probably have these already in your arsenal of tools, but yeah. But I had pretty much all these materials already, but yeah. You know, I'm going to post probably somewhere on the screen on how much all this cost me. It's probably a little bit under 20 bucks, I'm guessing, but I'm going to do some calculations and I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But yeah, just so that you can have an idea of how much you actually, you know, are paying for this project if you don't have these components and hardware already, you know, and minus my little nominal download fee. But I appreciate that. I just definitely appreciate that. That's very supportive of you, and that will help me continue my venture in this fun little world we like to do in creating fun things. Okay? All right, let's move on. All right, so let's continue with this. So now that we actually uploaded the program to the Arduino, we can now concentrate on putting it all together. Now I'm going to go ahead and the regulator here. All right, we're going to actually concentrate on the regulator and the 50 volt capacitor, and just so that we can get this out of the way, this is going to be the 12 volt power supply that's going to convert it or buck it down to 5 volts for the Arduino and the relay module, and also supply power to the maglock, the 12 volt, that will not go into and will bypass 5 volt buck down juncture. Okay, it's going to stay on the other side, which is the 12 volts. So anyway, I am using a piece of plywood to mount everything on this, because that's all I have, and I just want to encourage you, and also just to let you know that I just kind of work with what I got. I'm not a total snob when it comes to actually like building and circuit boards and stuff like that. I mean, I've done them in the past, but I'm just now kind of strapped and limited for time. Anyway, so yeah, I put on the screen here, do what you can with what you got. So if you have some materials at home that might actually assist you, go for it. Just use it and just have a lot of fun with it. Hopefully you have all of the materials here, like the Arduino and the relay and everything else like that. But if you don't, it's a nominal fee, but just have fun with it. Let's keep going. Take the 5-volt regulator, okay? I'm going to actually take the legs and I'm going to bend them outward, okay, like this. And I bend these outward because I don't want them close to the actual ground, which is the middle one. And what we're going to go ahead and do is put the capacitor, I'm just cleaning off the terminal legs here, and we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and pause it there. This shorter leg here is the negative of the capacitor, okay? It's going to be the negative, the cathode, or the ground. This longer leg is going to be the positive, okay? It's always going to be the longer leg. It's also written on the side of the capacitor if you get confused, but just wanted to bring that home. Negative's in the middle. We're going to go ahead and bend this and wrap this around the middle leg, okay? And then we're going to actually take the anode and do the same thing, wrap it around this leg here, okay? Wow. Look how crazy that looks, right? Okay, just to bring home the point, this is 12 volts in going this way, positive, and the negative or the cathode, anode, cathode, 12 volts going in, and this is 5 volts going out. This is the cathode, negative or ground, this is the anode or positive, okay, going out. This is the 50 volt capacitor, and this right here, 5 volt regulator, okay. This is the negative of the ground, this plate right here that is attached to the ground. So let's keep going. So yeah, that's what it did. So yeah, we're going to take our little wire here. Actually, we're going to cut another piece of wire because we need actually two. Okay? Snipped off 2 pieces of wire. This is, again, alrighty guys, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward. Stranded. I promised you there is a point to this, but I just wanted to let you know that this is me actually soldering everything together, okay? And I'm going to definitely explain exactly at the end what's going on here, but it looks like a bunch of gibberish and like a lot of soldering, and trust me, I am wearing a face mask and protective eye gear. Please do that when you are soldering, okay? Just be careful. Now let's go ahead and pause it right here. On screen, I'm going to go ahead and go back, and so we have a clear picture. Okay, there we go. Alright, so to bring home the point here, again, this is the final results of my soldering now. I know you electronics engineers are cringing right now because you're just, oh my gosh, look at these solder joints. That's just crazy! That's so crazy! But I promise you this does work, it will work, and this is the way that I do things, alright? And especially this little wire hair hanging off of there. Oh man, I know that that's bothering a lot of you out there. I promise you I did fix that. I cut that bad boy off. That has been fixed, so just I wanted to let you know. Also, take note that the capacitor is at a slight angle, okay? That was purposeful on the regulator, so that you could actually fit the machine screw through this actual hole here when you're attaching it to the L bracket heatsink, okay? Keep that in mind. So again, I just wanted to bring home the point that this is the 12 volts in, this is the positive of the 12 volts, and this is the negative, okay, going in. This is the 5 volts coming out. Keep in mind that the cathode, the negative, it shares 2 black wires together, alright, but it is coming out as 5 volts. This is the 5 volt positive wire. Also, the capacitor positive or anode leg is matching up to the positive or anode, the positive voltage out, okay? And the negative or the ground of the capacitor needs to be on the middle leg with the 2 wires, okay? Negative wires, the black wires, are in the middle, and the red wire on both sides all match up to the positives. Positives, negative. Take a good look at that visually. That's what yours should look like. Yours might be a lot cleaner. You might even be using a breadboard, or you might even be using a PCB or whatever. Now, I used 1.5 inch of wire to wrap this around and to bring that point home. This is about the length of the wire that I actually used right here, okay? Alright, so yeah, I just kind of twisted around all of these legs, so just keep that in mind. Alright, before we actually keep moving on with recording the soldering, I wanted to show you a general layout of what I came up with in terms of how I'm going to be laying the components on this piece of plywood. So these terminal blocks are where we're going to actually have the touch sensors, the wires come out of. This is where the 12-volt power is going to be plugged into from the 12-volt power supply and supplying the power to the maglock. This is where the 5-volt voltage is going to be crossed over or spread out in 2 paths to the relay module and to the Arduino. So that's kind of what I kind of envisioned here. And as you can tell, I already mounted on the actual 5-volt regulator to the L bracket, so that's rocking and rolling. What you see on screen here is I'm holding up the terminal block, this blue terminal block. We have 4 of them, and I'm going to now be soldering onto the actual legs here, the actual stems of the terminal block. This is going to be the positive side, okay, that I'm going to be soldering the wire onto. This is going to be the negative side right here, or the ground, okay? And so let's keep going on and just kind of showing the process, okay? Here we go. Okay, so how I like to do it is I'm going to go ahead and cut off about another maybe inch, 1.5 inches from this actual line, this edge line here. And yeah, there we go. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this here. Okay, as you can see, I cut off about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit more here. And what I'm doing is I'm twisting the wire so it's all nice and clean. And fast forward. I'm going to put it down and adjust the camera and go to the terminal block and actually show you me wrapping it around. Now I cut off a little bit too much here, but it's better to have more than less, okay? And then right now I'm going to be wrapping it around the positive leg of the terminal block. I should do it. Again, better to have more than less. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it around a few times of this little, the leg of the terminal block, okay? See what I'm doing here? I'm going to pause that there and fast forward it. I got some painter's tape right here because I don't have any helping hands. I'm going to put it onto the tape. Let's go ahead and fast forward it here. Sticking it onto the tape. And now I'm going to go ahead and solder it. Okay, I'm cutting off the excess. I'm going to fast forward and do the same exact thing to the negative or the cathode. I'm twisting the wires right there, okay? And now I'm just twisting it onto the cathode or negative terminal leg. And then just pull on it a little bit and just make it snug. And I'm going to go ahead and push this back down onto the tape and solder it up. Pause that, and I'm going to go ahead and like my fast forward sound effects. There you go. I soldered that. Plug into the 12-volt positive this side and 12-volt negative this side. You have two little terminal blocks. Yeah, it looks kind of a little bit janky and stuff like that, but you know, that's just how I'm operating today, and it'll work flawlessly. So, and we're going to do the same thing to this terminal block so that we can actually provide 5 volts power to this side here. Let's go ahead and do that. Put this back on here to kind of gauge where it's going to actually go for the 5 volts, and probably right around there. So we got a good amount of cable. So let's go ahead and just tear this off here. All right, let's go ahead and fast forward. I'm doing the same exact thing to this one here, stripping the wires about 1.5 inches, and I'm putting the red or the positive on one side, and I'm doing the soldering here, And then I'm doing the same exact thing to the other terminal block, which is the negative or cathode, soldering that, and I'm being protective of my face and clipping off the excess, and as you can see, the end results are coming here. Okay, so now we've got 12 volts and then 5 volts, okay? Now, I just wanted to reiterate 12 volts in, 5 volts out, okay? That way. Just to let you know, and I noticed that these frays actually came out of the solder, so I did go back and fix these and cut them out and just made it a lot cleaner. So, because I know you guys are cringing, you're really just biting your teeth on this one here. So just keep that in mind. Alright. So this is where the maglock side's gonna hook up onto the relay, and this is where the actual Arduino, the input for the pin 13 and the DC 5 volts in, and we're going to actually supply it from the actual 5 volts here, not from the Arduino, but from here, from this terminal block into the actual relay module. Okay, so yeah, let's keep going. Alright, before we move on, it's always good to test. I just wanted to test the voltage and just to make sure that we're in good order here. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here, and just to let you know, if you don't have a multimeter, chances are it's going to be regulated at around 12 volts, maybe a little bit less. 12 volts in and 5 volts out. Might be a little bit under both, but I just want to let you know that's plenty enough voltage. So again, if you don't have this multimeter, don't even fret. Chances are you're going to be okay with both voltages, 12 volts and 5 volts. Okay? And if everything is good and ready, I hooked this up to a 12 volt power supply, and we're going to test it obviously here. It's going to give me roughly around 12 volts, a little bit less. But the true test here is the actual 12 volts in, right here. This is the in right here. The red is in going this way. So I'm going to go ahead and just test it right here. 12 volts in. And we should be getting 5 volts or roughly around 5 volts out. A little under 5 volts here. Should be 5 volts here as well. Yep. Yeah, so that's good. It's looking good. A little under 5 volts. So give supply to the relay and the Arduino, okay, on this side. Okay. And then the dry contacts here will obviously be the common, normally open and normally closed, before the 12 volts that's actually going to be hooked up into that. The main point of this part of the video is to show you the actual 12 volt supply that and what it's going to look like. Now keep in mind this one is 12 volts 2 amps, which is fine. And it's going to look like this. It's going to have an actual barrel jack, which you'll actually slice it off, and it actually goes into here, just like these two wires. You're going to have most likely on the 12 volts, you're going to have a red and black wire that's going to actually feed into here. Here's another example, 12 volts 1 amp. This is one that I actually cut off, and I got a red and black wire, okay, that's feeding into here. Right there. Okay, and but the one that is actually feeding into here, which is this wire that's actually going out to here, this is 12 volts 0.6 amps. Okay, it's not even a full amp, and it's still working. So those are your options. I just want to let you know. Let's do this again. Supply. Again, it's going to kind of look like that, or it might even look like this. Okay. It's going to be very light, but yeah, that's what you're gonna buy if you don't have it already. Oops. Okay, so yeah, let's move on.